Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Bolinsky, for your testimony this morning. Did you submit your testimony? Is it online?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. All right.
It should be.
Okay. I'll
And
check.
it also
I don't
has
see that, but I'm sure.
Dr. Chartery's testimony attached to it. If it's not online, it went in this morning at 9 o'clock. It'll appear in about a second.
Thank you, thank you. So just a few things for clarification. The fines that would be imposed,
Yes, sir.
if the seat belts were not in the passengers, I mean not passenger, in the rear of the car, they would be the same would be the same as that would be for the passenger and the driver. So that's the way the interpretation as far as the fines are concerned. Is that what you were referring to for fines?
It's absolutely the same as what would happen in the front seat. All it is recognizing the fact that the motor vehicle has a 3-point harness in the back seat, just like it has in the front seat, and that you can live to be 100 years old if you use it.
Thank you. And my other question is, I know all the newer cars, or all of them, would have seat belts in the back seats. But are you aware of any models or cars that are relatively older models that may not have seats, seat belts in the back seats? Are you aware of that, or is it something that we need to look into?
That's an interesting question, Representative. By the current standards of highway safety, as spelled out in U.S. law, it is illegal for any car manufacturer to sell a vehicle without the appropriate number of seat belts in it. Usually there's one extra in the back seat so that you can configure it in a way where back seat child and toddler seats can be buckled in different configurations. But you're onto something on a very, very small scale. In the classic car marketplace, where people are trading in 57 Chevys and Model Ts, Model As, and the like, those cars predate rear seat belts, and in some cases predate front seat belts as well. So that falls under a different classification, and that's not typically the car that you're going to be seeing barreling down the road on a daily basis. Usually those are in a garage being treated with kid gloves and not subject to collisions, except if a tree falls on the garage that it's sitting in.
Right, I definitely agree. It's a very, very small percentage, if any at all. So I was just wondering, as we move this forward in the committee and on the floor, whether there should be some, carve out or some kind of grandfathering factor put in. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
Well, I think your concern's a good one, and I think that probably the smartest thing we can do, since there are 29 states in the District of Columbia already with these laws in place, we should probably take a look at one or two of the neighboring states that do have these laws and, see what the best practice is. If, for instance, New York and Maryland have both found that it's not necessary to have a carve-out for antique motor vehicles, then that's probably a good reason why, that they don't have that carve-out. If they do have that carve-out, then we should use that best practice and build it into this through, the drafting of the bill or through an amendment.
Thank you. And my final question to you, yes, we are in the Public Health Committee, where obviously public health is our concern, and we do focus on the revenue side or any expense side at the same time, but though that's not our primary focus. Having said that, something caught my attention when you said that if this were to move forward, we might get some federal dollars, or did you? I wasn't sure I was clear about that. Was there some money coming from the federal government to us if we move this forward, which obviously we're all ready to take, if such a thing existed?
I'm not totally certain if there are new federal dollars that we would qualify for. There already is a pot that we participate in. Obviously, if you're somebody that's in the federal government and you're doling out, this preventative, life-saving grant money, I mean, it would seem to reason that somebody would be more predisposed to, to a state that has current and well-considered regulations to take care of all the occupants in a car. You open up an entire can of worms with that, but since we are the Public Health Committee, this is a health crisis, which is why I was thrilled to see this appear before this committee and not through another committee that's a little bit more hung up in its bureaucratic ways. But this is the part of the testimony I did not read, so pardon me for giving you one more dose of a couple of sentences. By this law, it should save our state money in terms of serious injuries avoided, because ultimately there becomes an association of Medicaid cost for disabled people, people that are seriously injured, or people that are operating a motor vehicle, have their backseat passenger become injured, but insurance is insufficient to cover that. The state steps in and covers that. So there actually is, a sunny side to the financial picture here, because if we can lower the number of serious injuries, rehab, even disability payments go down, and it has a positive impact also on the state police and their enforcement efforts. We have enough of an issue in the state of Connecticut with not having enough state police to cover the state. Every time there's a fatality crash, we take that officer who's done the paperwork on that, and we essentially put him into an investigative unit, and he disappears from the force for a week or 10 days. So this also helps the actual staffing and the financing and possibly even the overtime accounts that have to do with the state police. There's no doubt that there's financial impacts here that are positive, but zero cost. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Madam Chair.